Hello, wrestling fans, and here I am with a review of WCW Slamboree, which took place on May 22nd, 1994. Initial concept of Slamboree was a Legends reunion, and many legends were introduced at the beginning of the pay-per-view, most of which have since passed away, and even had a Hall of Fame ceremony later in the show. They We see commentators Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan about to start, and they introduce Commissioner Nick Bockwinkel, who's carrying what was then known as the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship. What happened, the plan for this show was for Rick Rude, who had regained the belt from Sting over in Japan. Rude was scheduled to wrestle Vader for the International World title. The problem was, during what they showed was that Rude had used the championship belt to win and en route to winning the belt back from Sting. Truth behind it was, during that match in Japan, Rude suffered the neck injury, which led to the end of his days as a wrestler. And I don't know if this was true, because I know Ric Flair had the book at the time. That Flair wanted Rude to forfeit the belt, and Rude wouldn't do it. And that led to Rude basically quitting on WCW and was out of wrestling for a few years. So Bockwinkel asked Sting to come out, and Bockwinkel was going to give the title back to Sting, but Sting said he didn't want it that way unless he could win it in the ring. So he said, how about Vader and I go at it later in the show for the belt. From there, we start with the first matchup, as we have Johnny B. Bad challenging stunning Steve Austin, accompanied to the ring by Colonel Robert Parker, for the United States Heavyweight Championship. Austin had won the U.S. title from Dustin Rhodes back at Starrcade 93 in a 2 out of 3 falls match, winning in 2 straight falls. Great mat work with both these guys in the beginning. Austin went for a sleeper hold early, which Bad countered with a jawbreaker. There was more moves on the mat. Austin eventually got the advantage with a axe handle as Bad was coming off the ropes. Austin went for tried for a splash on the second rope, but Bad lifted his knees. Bad hit a backdrop. Bealed Austin out of the corner. I don't know if something went wrong here. I mean, I know Colonel Parker came up to the ring apron, and Bad, I think, tried to attack him. Bad gave Austin a back suplex, and I don't know if something went wrong here. Austin rolled over on top of Bad and pinned him to retain the U.S. Championship. No matter where these two guys, whether it was in WCW or the WWE, Johnny B. Bad, who we know was Wildman Mark Merrow, and Stunning Steve Austin, they always had great matches with each other. So, second matchup was the Legends match, as Tully Blanchard of Four Horsemen fame took on hardcore legend Terry Funk. Keep in mind, folks, this pay-per-view was done in Philadelphia, and amongst the people in attendance was John Hat Guy Bailey. For those who don't know, he would always sit in the front row at all the ECW arena events when ECW was in business. They brawl on the floor before the bell even rings. They finally come to the ring. Funk hits a neck breaker. They go back out on the floor. Funk breaks off a piece of the wooden stairs and pile drives Blanchard on it in the ring. Funk hit a DDT on the ramp. Then back in the ring, he hits another pile driver, misses a moonsault from the top rope. Blanchard got thrown into the referee. Funk, I guess he messed up. He tried to do a pile driver, give Blanchard a pile driver off the second rope onto a chair, but something went wrong. Blanchard eventually hits the referee. Funk gets a hold of his branding iron, and the referee called for the bell, disqualified both men. Good brawl by these guys. Next match was Larry Zbyszko taking on Lord Steven Regal, accompanied to the ring by Sir William. Now, Regal at the time was the World Television Champion, and Zbyszko, this was his first match in like 2 years, where Zbyszko took exception to Regal's remarks about America. And in the early going, Regal stalled a lot. Zbyszko had put an abdominal stretch on Regal, and Zbyszko kept grabbing the ropes before Regal broke out of it. Zbyszko went to work on Regal's arm. Regal hit a flurry of uppercuts and forearms in the corner. Zbyszko had put a sleeper on Regal, but Regal countered with a jawbreaker. So William hits Zbyszko in the back with his umbrella, but the referee didn't catch that. Regal went for a butterfly suplex, but Zbyszko counters with a backdrop, and basically Regal could not free his arms, and Zbyszko was on top of Regal and pinned him to win the matchup. Next up was a bull rope match as The Natural, Dustin Rhodes, took on Bunkhouse Buck, accompanied by Colonel Robert Parker. I forgot how this feud actually began, but this is a return bout from the month before at the first ever Spring Stampede pay-per-view. At Spring Stampede, they had a bunkhouse match which Buck won, but this time it's a bull rope match. Rhodes got the early advantage. He used using that cowbell. Buck pulled a hockey tactic, pulling Rhodes' shirt over his head. And he used the cowbell, threw Rhodes into the ring post, and he used the bull rope to tie Rhodes to the post and then pounded away on him. Then they had a slugfest with each other. Buck bumped into the referee. Colonel Parker came in, and I think he was gonna use the cowbell on Rhodes, but Rhodes, while being held by Buck, he kicks away at Parker. Hits Buck with the cowbell, and he pinned him to win the matchup. And just as Rhodes took his end of the bull rope off, Terry Funk attacked him with the branding iron. Funk and Buck double teamed Dustin Rhodes. Next up was the WCW World Heavyweight title match as Ric Flair was set to defend against a member of Colonel Robert Parker's stud stable, and was kept a mystery. The funny thing was, it was introduced, and it turned out to be Barry Windham, who had not been seen in WCW since Beach Blast of 1993, 10 months earlier. Now, my understanding, it was in that match Windham had with Flair. Windham had injured his knee in the match, and that's why Windham was out of action for so long. But Windham made this, I guess, one night return. They have a chop punch fest. Flair throws chops, Windham throws punches. Windham hit a lariat. Windham hit the superplex. Flair picked up Windham for a stalling suplex, puts on the figure 4 leg lock, but Windham grabs the rope. Flair puts a figure 4 leg lock again. Windham gets to the ropes again. Flair hits a fist off the top rope, hits 2 knee drops. Flair goes for a body press onto Windham, but they both fall over the top rope to the floor. Colonel Robert Parker was nailed by Flair, and Flair eventually hit a top rope body press or an axe handle and pins Barry Windham to win the match and retain the belt. Up next was I forgot the stipulations of the match, but it was a match for the Tag Team Championship as Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan challenged the Nasty Boys for the World Tag Team Championship with special guest enforcer, the Hammer, the Broad Street Bully, David Schultz, who I believe used to play hockey for the Philadelphia Flyers. They brawl before the bell even rings. Crutches and chairs are used. Kevin Sullivan pile drives Brian Knobbs on the ramp. Cactus used a trash can on Jerry Saggs. Cactus missed his cactus elbow off the second rope to the floor on Brian Knobbs. The Nasty Boys started using a trash can. Saggs throws Cactus off the ramp onto a table. Saggs hit his top rope elbow on Cactus Jack. And then Saggs was going to use Schultz's hockey stick, but Schultz grabs him and starts a bit of a hockey brawl with Saggs, pulls his shirt over his head. Cactus eventually uses the hockey stick on Sags and pins him, enabling Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan to win the World Tag Team Championship. After the match, I believe the Nasty Boys were furious about losing the belt. Out came Max Payne, who hit Sags over the head with a guitar, and then out came Dave Sullivan, Kevin's brother, who was originally supposed to team with Kevin in this match, and hit Brian Knobbs with his crutch. And both Sullivans, Cactus and Max Payne, and Schultz celebrate the victory. Now, I was so bummed out. I was really hoping for the team of Cactus Jack and Max Payne to eventually beat the Nasty Boys for the belts, but for some reason it did not happen. And I'm not sure the reason behind if Dave Sullivan, how he really got hurt. They said the Nasty Boys injured him, but that was probably a storyline thing. And then it was on to the main event, as Vader, accompanied to the ring by the late Harley Race, took on Sting for the vacant WCW International World Heavyweight title. Sting was pummeled in the corner early. Vader hit a short clothesline. Sting retaliated. He eventually suplexed Vader back in the ring. Vader hits 2 Vader bombs. He works on Sting's leg. Sting comes back with a flurry. Sting accidentally clotheslined the referee. Vader gives Sting a choke slam. Harley Race accidentally hits Vader with a chair. Sting hits a DDT, but Vader kicked out. Sting clotheslines Flair to the floor. Sting went for the Stinger Splash, but Vader caught him and dropped him with a power slam. Went for the moonsault, but he missed. Then Sting tries to pin Vader. The referee's counting. Race comes off the top rope for a headbutt. Sting moves and he accidentally hits Vader. Then the referee pushes Race out of the ring. Sting gets to the top rope, hits a splash on Vader, and pins him to win the vacant WCW International World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this was the last WCW pay-per-view that took place before Hulk Hogan and others arrived. It seemed like WCW was okay at this point, even before Hogan arrived. We had title matches here. We had a good brawl for the tag belts. Great wrestling from Zbyszko and Regal. That bull rope match was pretty heavy. Barry Windham would return, but it turned out to be his swan song for that time, because he didn't come back, wasn't seen again until he reemerged in the WWF as the Stalker. That was pretty bad. But, I think this was a very good show for WCW at that time, especially how it turned out. I'll definitely have more reviews coming. I'll tell you right now, I will be reviewing Clash of the Champions. I forgot the number, but that took place in June of 1994. And I'll also be reviewing Impact Wrestling Sacrifice from May of 2007.